Hi everyone, thanks for coming to City Chess today. To all of the people who are traveling from outside of Singapore, thank you so much for coming. That's really special for us. For someone who take the Friday off and come to the conference, that's the spirit. Thanks so much. So today I'll talk about accessibility. Is actually the first time I talk about it, so take it easy on me. And yeah, we'll see what we go through. So we go back to the history of the web a little bit. It's like when the web was started in 1989, 91. It's just a proposal from Tim Berners-Lee. You heard about the Tim Berners-Lee name before? You heard, yeah, the guy who invented the web. But we might see this kind of, concept of client running on a different platform in that early day. So it's just an idea in his mind, and then he was, putting it into the paper. And now we have Chrome, we have Safari, everything. But then fast forward to a few years, you have, first kind of mainstream browser, Internet Explorer 1.0, because it's not the first browser, but it's kind of, set the direction because it's cheap with Windows. So that's why a lot of people start to know the web and they use the web more. Actually, I start the timer. So that window. And the point is, it's early in 1997. Already there's an initiative about accessibility. We call it WAI, which is Web Accessibility Initiative. And when you zoom in a little bit, it's telling you that there is 700 million people around the world has accessibility. And what we wanted to do is really to remove the barrier for people with deaf, blindness, and cognitive, basically disability. So I updated the slide last night with the arrow, so hope it's focused. And so today we talk about what is accessibility in general, and how do you want to test it, how you want to build it, and yeah, basically basic stuff. And so before we get started, we need this slide. So that's myself. I built some project, not as famous as Anthony Fu and Evan you today, but Angular stuff. So people know me in Angular stuff. And I do Angular Singapore, Angular Vietnam, and Viettek. And I also work for a company called Ascenda. There's some of the folks from Ascenda probably at the back, no? Okay, at the back, very back. And we do, we simplify loyalty for bank global merchant around the world. And so we look into the definition in English, accessibility, what is the fact of being able to, too fast, to be reached or obtained easily. And when you look into web accessibility, it is really something need to do with disability. So it's, try to aim to target for more people. But especially it doesn't exist without people with disability. And so, what is next? Okay, so sometimes you heard about the term A11Y. And I spent a lot of effort to make this slide. So it's going to be, it's smooth. And then there's 11 letters between. So that's why it's called A11Y. It's easy. It's like internationalization. It is short when you tweet, because tweet is 160, unless you have the blue check. But yeah, I don't have the blue check. And so, accessibility at the end, when you design it for, aim for accessibility, it's been benefit people with and also people without disability, which means technically everyone. Yeah, I hope you see the slide. That's a PowerPoint effect. And so maybe some of the example in real life, there's a curb cut for wheelchair accessible people. And then when you are pushing a luggage or you are carry a heavy luggage, it's help a lot. Or when you are riding the bike or you are pushing the trolley, all of that help in real life. So for the web, how is it going to help? Actually, we need to see how people with disability use the web to really understand.
Web accessibility perspectives. Keyboard compatibility. Not being able to use your computer because your mouse doesn't work is frustrating. Many people use only the keyboard to navigate websites, either through preference or circumstance. Whether it's temporarily limited mobility, a permanent physical disability, or simply a broken mouse, the result is the same. Websites and apps need to be operable by keyboard. Web accessibility. Essential for some, useful for all. Visit w3.org/WAI keyboard.com/perspectives for more information on keyboard compatibility.
Right. They has the end quote, which is really nice, right? Essential for some. It's like, before I see this video, I never thought there's someone who is using just the neck to navigate the keyboard. Really, never thought in my life, really. And so, when you have supporting keyboard, it's like one of the, criteria. It's have people, having a fancy mouse that doesn't have battery. This happen. Or, maybe you just get the repetitive strain on your wrist. I got it sometimes, really. I just need to want to use the keyboard. And then if the website doesn't have keyboard accessible, it's kind of weird. You don't like it, right? For some reason. And so, what else will be essential for some, useful for all. I know it's a bit dry initially, but so that the next part I think is still a bit dry for the next few minutes, but we get into the code quickly. So let's say you feel like you wanted to make the web accessible. And you go into your blog and say, okay, I want to make it accessible. What do you do? Where do you even start it? So there has this called WCAG, which is the Web Accessible Content Guideline. Yeah, okay, accessibility guideline. So it just basically say, in this kind of guideline, we are trying to aim for 4 principles. That is going to break down into 13 kind of guideline, and then it's going to be break down one more time into kind of, a ticket for you to fix. It's like in criteria, success criteria. And into 3 levels, A, AAA, and A double and AAA. So, I know it's dry, sorry. Go ahead. A is like the basic. The basic is like, you have an image, you need to have an alternative text to it in case it couldn't load, or in case someone couldn't see the screen at all. Like you close your eye, you don't see the image. So what is this about? So the keyboard the same, kind of just now we saw. Double A is a bit more. So it's like, let's say you have a contrast, you select the text, and the text need to match with a certain requirement, like 4.5 R1. So there's a tool for testing it. But by using the tool, you can select the text which is good for your audience. But this one is not passing AAA. So it's like, you wanted to pass AAA, for example, for the contrast, it needs to be a bit more vibrant, right? You see it, the one just now maybe in the really bright environment, it might not be, it might be difficult to see, for example. So this one is like, it's like blue in the white color. So it's kind of clear, really. For me, it's clear. The one which is not very clear is like when you select a bit of gracious in the white background, so it's not passing anything. Basically, that's it, easy. Okay, so, you wanted to reference all of it, right? You go through this link, and it's long. That's anything, any spec in this kind of programming is long. You will not go through all of it. So then, how do you, do it, really? And so we have the next topic is like for testing. You just take the website, you run the tool, and then see how it goes. That's it. And then we fix whatever needs to be fixed. So I think the first one, this one doesn't work. Wait, doesn't work. Okay, so because Anthony Fu is in the audience, I just use Vite to create a project. Select React and TypeScript, easy. And then I just put the heading and the button. That is really coming from Vite template. And so, that's the code, right? The code looks simple. It just, there's a state and then the button. And then the button is inside the div. I hope it's clear enough. At the back, clear? Okay. And so, okay, we wanted to focus into this button and cow. Why? Why so important? So let's say I wanted to change the button a little bit. I wanted to use a plus icon, which might look nice. I don't know. I think it looks nice, maybe. And then I moved the text outside of the button. So now it's like in the div, which is fine. No issue. And so now, that's the button, the new button. The image look nice, huh? Does it look nice? And then, you still have all of this keyboard interaction. Normal. But then, some people might say, okay, the button now has a border. And it has this kind of background thing, and then it has a focus. I don't like it. And then the easiest solution to use it is, to fix it is kind of, you know where I'm going. That's the button. See it again? That's the button. That's where we are going. Awesome. Anyone write code like that before? Okay, that's some. Okay, I do it before. That's why I can tell, right? I do diff on click many times in my career. But the thing is fine, it's like I just don't know about accessibility until I work for a company called Ascenda, and then we work with a bank, and then bank say, oh, actually it doesn't work. We are a financial institution, and doesn't matter where you are, like who you are, where you live, you need a bank account. So you need to provide the website with accessibility. But then the diff here is not that bad. Actually, it still works. That's the thing. When we test it, it still works. And then when I run it through Lighthouse, you never use it. This is a built-in Chrome tool. You can also npm install Lighthouse. Audit it with accessibility. See, that's the arrow, yeah? And then you press the button. What it do is like it's just running some stuff and then accept the generated output HTML and then tell you what can go wrong. And then in this use case, there's only one can go wrong. There's an image element doesn't has the alternative, the L attribute. Right, you have 90%, that's awesome. And then, okay, what I'm gonna do is like, I'm gonna go and fix it. It's easy, I'll just fix it. I'll add it in. I run again. I got 100%. 100! Really? Have you seen it in the production website? I never seen it, really, I never seen it. Maybe you've seen it, not me, yeah? And so, like how we mentioned, it just runs through the output HTML. So it might not be able to yelling at you when you are doing something maybe wrong. So the next step we wanted to do is like, okay, we do something else. We just add in ESLint, right? We do lints all the time. It is a tool helping you when you're writing code. So we just use ESLint JSX A11Y. So it's, when you add it in, okay, that's the ESLint config. You add in one line called plugin ESLint, whatever. You see it, recommended. And so now I come back to the code. Now I can see something else. It says, okay, first of all, visible non-interactive element with click handler with must needs at least one keyboard listener. Fine. I'll add it in for sure. Thank you. I'll add it in for sure. And then, okay, now it's saying, maybe it's the one on top is avoid non-interactive element. And then it doesn't really possible. You need to add a row. What do? I add a row? Why not? Add a row button. Now the div is a button. And then it's still yelling and I say, okay, something with the row needs to be tappable. How do we do it? How do we do it, guys? Tab index, awesome. So, I'll do tab index, just to make it happy. But all of that, you go back to the code, it's kind of work, right? But then the key up just now was just the one really quickly. So key up, anything on the keyboard is key up. So now you say, okay, I need to differentiate between, space and enter, and then when it's happened, and then I trigger it, otherwise I will not. So, look back into the code. Yeah, there's a lot more code to write. Maybe I just stick to the one I had before. Yeah, why not? And then, okay, for not just this, right, I need to do a bit of CSS patching to remove all this border and background, but it's easy, right? But then you don't have to do it heavy lifting on JS. So, there's a lot of common accessibility error that you can see. Like, I think it's 98% of the website has this kind of issue. The first one, low contrast, we see it. The second one, missing L attribute for the image. Next is empty link, which is like a link just with an icon, without anything else, just an icon. Missing input form label is that you put a div, then the text, and then the input. When you click into the text, it doesn't focus into the input. Because the code is long, so I will not put it here. Empty button, and then the last one, just mentioned in the morning. Missing the document language. Right? When it is in the different language, you should put the lang into it. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It works only because we can see it. Right? When you cannot see the website, you rely on the machine, on the computer to understand it. And if you don't, give a hint, they don't understand. If we just use the div without a row button. It just understands it as a generic item. There's nothing you can click on until you put a row button, technically. So, that's a sick common thing. Easy to fix, for sure. If you're interested to read, then just do A11Y coffee. Okay, 14 minutes. Oh yeah, that's that chant in the morning. Is it still here? No, maybe no. No. So like I mentioned, okay, we have the first step is like, okay, we run the audit on the browser. Second step is like we start to bring the link closer to our code by using ES links, for example. And the third one, in our center, we start to kind of cannot trust developer. They can keep pushing code, no commit, no verify. So it doesn't really work. And then we start to say, now we have the accessibility criteria. That's awesome. So there's QA is gonna catch the bug. They will test it and will tell you, guy, you need to fix it. Yeah, I think that's the issue that we are doing. We don't really do a lot of end-to-end tests that catch accessibility issue for now. But during the year we realized that the important, and that is what we are trying to apply in a new product. When we build it, we know accessibility will come eventually. So we just add it in. Easy. So there's few more tools other than Lighthouse. So like Jazz, Cypress, Ace. The AXE is like one of the famous tools for accessibility testing. So I just put it in case you wanted to read more about it. Ooh, awesome. Yeah, I like PowerPoint for that fact, this text just nice. So what about complicated custom component? You talk about button. So easy to build. What about date picker? Are you gonna build a date picker again? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because like, if you wanted to do it properly, there is a pattern for you. That's the guy, like WAI area pattern. So they tell you, when you build a combo box, which is a text input and rendering the result, you need to put an area when it is loading and all. It is really detailed, but then once again, it's long. And I think, there's a lot of library, a lot of people outside, they do it for us. So I think in our company, we've been learning from it. We initially use Angular and Material. Anyone still use Angular here? Okay. No. And now we do Next.js and React Area component and Redux. So yeah, all of this component is happy because in this use case, for example, right? Let's say I close my eye and then I use a tool called Screen Reader, and then it's gonna read through the screen as I'm moving on the picker itself. Like you use keyboard to navigate, which is good, but then when you are using a screen reader, it's gonna tell you what day you are selecting, which is really cool. Yeah, you are not gonna want to build it again from the scratch. Trust me. So yeah, we are starting to evolve this component. So when we need to build custom complicated component, we just look for accessibility kind of focus UI library, and there's a few I just show. Yeah, I said a slide later, so don't worry about it. And then I think anything else? Kind of almost done, but this one is like people who cannot see.
Web accessibility perspectives. Text to speech.
Some people can see the text on the screen. Fortunately, computers can convert text to speech.
It's technology that many people who are blind have been relying on for years. But it's also important for many people with dyslexia, and very useful for people with difficulty reading text, as well as some people who just like to multitask. But for this to work, websites and apps have to be properly coded, which has the added benefit of helping search engines index websites' contents better. Web accessibility, essential for some, useful for all. Visit w3.org/WAI/perspectives for more information on text-to-speech.
Visit wc.com.org. Right, so when I try to use CTJS, let's say I was just trying to use it as I cannot see it. What I can do is I say, okay, you close your eye, you say, give me all of the heading for this website. And then you go through it, Or you just say, okay, give me the next heading, give me the next heading, until you found the one that you wanted to view. Not view, like you wanted to hear. And then you say, okay, now, read me the content, right? You don't, because you don't see it, so how do you use it? You just go through this kind of thing, and this thing need to be made accessible with semantic HTML. It's look kind of, we overlook it, but it's important when you have a piece of content and you want people that couldn't see, try to access it. That is super important, right? H1, H2. You can make a div that look like H2 for sure, but it's not the same, right? It looks the same, but it's not the same in many ways. So, okay, so now I think it's ending slide, right? So we start with the web, and then we have the WAI, we have WACG, Accessibility Content Guideline 1.0, then we have HTML5. Fast forward, we have 2.1, and then now we are here, right? I think during that many times, right, there's, the HTML5 that's come out, but then the idea is still the same after so many years, which is web accessibility, essential for some, useful for all. So I think, with some of the keywords, what I wanted to try to say is like, you are interested in this kind of topic, of course, it's tough, it's difficult, but then eventually you need to support it anyway. There's a law in, European Union until what year you need to support it to level A as minimum. So that's really important. So I think that's it. Thanks, guys. My name is Chung. That's the slide.